Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. The American guest you have all been waiting for, Kim Sweers, the boat boss. Hi Kim, welcome to the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hi Holly, thanks for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So, I mean, as if you need an introduction, I mean, I'm sure if I said the boat boss to anyone in the marine industry or anyone on kind of social media, they would know who I was talking about. But give yourself a little introduction. Tell us who you are and what is it you do in the industry.
Well, yes, I'm self-proclaimed the boat boss, and
I love it.
and I'll get into how that happened, but it's a funny story. But yes, so I am a dealer principal owner of FB Marine Group, a dealership here in South Florida, which is the boating capital of the world. It's the home of the Super Bowl of all Super Bowl boat shows, the Fort Lauderdale and the Miami Boat Show. So I am super glad to be in an industry that is so important into South Florida because we're the second largest behind tourism. But back to who I am, I started out as an investor in FB Marine Group, which was known as a different name back then. It's our legal name still, it's Fast Boats. And I became an investor in the business. And then from there became through over the years, majority owner, which I am now, and sole owner of the business. And I am super excited to just be in the industry and have a voice for not only women, but a very diverse workforce. We have many brands that we represent. We're Die Hard Mercury dealership. We're one of Mercury's, I'm proud to be a Mercury dealer, one of their largest ones, and Yamaha, Suzuki, as well as the other brands, boat brands that we carry. And then we also do brokerage and used boats that we take in on trade, and we do parts and service. We have an amazing service team here at FB Marine Group, and I get into the bills or then we talk about, replacing the stringers and manifold and risers and all sorts of really cool projects that I personally get involved deep in and record and talk and really bring what we do here at FB Marine Group to the world. And it's been super exciting to see the dealership grow over the last 30 years. And I'm not that old. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but yeah, so it's been an amazing journey and I just love every day of what I do.
Yeah, I mean, that comes across. I mean, you have so much passion for the industry. And I always feel like whenever I talk to any guest, I feel like I'm always the one that's super excited and super animated about the industry. But I think you're giving me a run for my money here.
I don't know. You're pretty big also. But it's all what you make of it. And I always tell my son, I tell my team members, I call them team members versus employees, is, you have to dream big, work hard, stay humble, and always pay it forward. And that's really my motto in life. Not my quote at the end, but that's definitely what I try to teach my son and my people, is that you and I are both humble. We're very thankful for the accomplishments that we have made, and we're just paying it forward. And that's what we do every day. We put our feet on the floor and we get going and we hustle. We do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about paying it forward because, when I talk to people, and most people always want to know when they speak to me is about social media and creating a personal brand and making yourself somebody on social media. But I always say back to them, what are you giving to social media? Do you know what I mean? Rather than taking. And it's the same, I guess, with the marine industry. Give to the marine industry. I work in recruitment and I always say to my team, don't just advertise your jobs, share industry news or comment on posts. Like give something before you expect to take something.
I couldn't agree more. And that's exactly how Boat Boss got really birthed. I birthed it many years ago. Went ahead and trademarked it. There's an amazing show called Cake Boss. If I was in the chair about to, be executed, the last meal I would have would be cake. I love cake. It's my thing. It's my passion. And so Cake Boss was a show that about Carlito's Bakery in Hoboken, New Jersey. And so made the homage to Cake Boss show with my son, and we saw it. And I said, you know what, maybe I should trademark Boat Boss. So Boat Boss and Yacht Boss were trademarked. And so those are the both brands that I do own the intellectual property on, and sort of kept it, didn't know what to do with it. Then enter the pandemic. The pandemic hit. And I remember the one post that I did I'm a huge music nut. I love music. It's, gives me so much, energy and passion and the words. And so there was a DJ Khaled did a post on his shoe closet, and it was all
Okay.
about all of his ceiling to floor shoes. And I reposted it in the middle of the pandemic, right about March, April, when it really started coming out. People were getting very sick, businesses were shut down. And I did a post about his closet, and one of my friends, a very dear friend, David Hall, sent me a message and said, "Do you really think that this content is relevant given the fact that people are dying, businesses are closing, and so on and so forth?" And I was like, "What? Come on, And then I really said that night, I said to myself, is he right? And I said, yeah, I needed to provide the world some motivation, some
Yeah.
clarity, and not really brag about the success of the industry, because we did not experience what the world was experiencing. The boat business just exploded during the pandemic. And so I
Yeah.
pulled back on sold, and and just so much excess, and really grew Boat Boss into a media platform of all about living, working, and playing on the water. And my content became more meaningful and less about the sale, and more about the
Yeah.
experience and my clients and my people. And so now Boat Boss just was on a trajectory that took its path, and here we are today. And I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
That's really cool. And it strikes me as crazy how similar our journeys were, because how crazy is this that it was the same month and the same year that Boatbuilding News started during the pandemic? It's because I was, I've always been in marine recruitment.
Right.
And so I was a bit like, oh my goodness, people don't want to hear about recruitment. People are losing their jobs. But
Right.
what can I do to add value still in this industry that I love? I can't just sit back and just wait until recruitment's of value again. So weirdly, on sort of opposite sides of the ocean, we were kind of doing the same thing with the same, like in sync, which is
So
crazy.
true. Right. Opposite sides of the pond. And we had one mission, and that was really to bring positivity in a really grim period of our world. And
Yeah.
it was scary, but you know what? They always say that, opportunity comes out of tragedy. And so congratulations to you on all your success as well.
Yeah, it was a weird time, but you're right. It does create opportunity. Weird times, hard times,
So true.
challenging times. What comes off the back of it is always an opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. And Boat Boss has given me an opportunity really to interview. I remember I reached out to David Folks, the CEO of Brunswick, as one of my first guests, and when he said yes, I was like, oh, you know. And so it was really nice to be one of the first to do a podcast. And you were the same as well. We both, were very forward thinking and created our own podcasts or platforms, and it's really great to have the support of the whole industry, that they're willing to be interviewed by us,
Yeah.
and and take their stories to the world and really grow the eyes. And the boat business is so important, not just here in South Florida but worldwide, and the ripple effect that it has. And as a recruiter, all the people that are in the boat business, one
Yep.
boat can affect so many people in a community. And it's such an important industry that we have to sustain. And so taking that message out there, constantly putting great content out there, is all part of the sustainability of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So, I mean, right back at the beginning, is the marine industry something you were always destined to do? Did you grow up around boats, on the water? Was it as far back as then?
No, I wasn't born into it. We weren't boaters, but I've always lived on the water. Back to my motto: living, working, and playing on the water. I've always played on the water, and lived on the water. But I really am a techie person at heart. I started my career right out of college as a lifeguard, because I'm a very, very fast swimmer, and spent most of my college days in my childhood swimming. So I had a college scholarship, and then ended up being a lifeguard right out of college. From there, I ended up going into the city of Miami Beach. That's who I worked for, and they hired me, promoted me, and I became public information officer. And if you know what that is, that's about reporting to the media on impromptu subjects like murders, fires, whatever is happening in the city. And
Oh,
so I was
right.
thrown into a media job quickly with zero experience. So everyone says, you do it so well. Well, try being a public information officer. It will, teach you fast how to be quick on your feet. So that's from there, I ended up going into being a stockbroker. I always thought, I love the movie Wall Street, and I was like, come on, Gordon Gekko, we're going to do this. And Wall Street ended up being a great opportunity, but also an enormous amount of stress.
Yeah, I
During,
can imagine.
during the Prudential Securities downfall, I worked for Prudential and Serpent on the Rock, the book that came out. So I decided maybe this isn't for me. And so my true passion has always been technology. I love it. I live it. I breathe it. I own another business outside of this business, the dealership, and I love technology. So I started to build data networks around the world, and I worked for Sprint. And then from then I ended up going off to a client of ours that hired me and my entire team. And we built data networks around the world, even across the pond. I spent a lot of time in England at the network access point that landed over there. And we built the network all over the world. So then from there, the internet bust happened, and most of those companies went out of business. Silicon Valley had a big hurting, as well as all the data companies worldwide. And so I ended up investing in this business in FB Marine Group, and that was really in 1999. And from there, I've just been here ever since, and took everything I know from corporate America, from processes, procedures, development, everything that they've taught us, and I brought it here to a very small dealership. And it was a brokerage firm back then, and we created a dealership model, and that's what you see today. Sales, service, parts, everything that we do, financing, same thing as a car dealership, but we do we do boats. But that's my story in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
wow. I mean, I'm exhausted just listening to it. That's quite a lot you've crammed in.
Yeah, but on a side note, I have, like I said, a passion for technology, and as a podcaster, as you know, we created a platform called Pick Cherries. I
Yes,
co-founded.
I've only just found
Yeah,
out about this, but tell me more about this. Tell me exactly how it
yeah.
works, because I've had a bit of a dabble, but I don't know all about it yet.
Yeah, I'm super proud of it. I've always been a needs-based entrepreneur, or a critical thinker. And so as a podcaster, I really struggled with how do I struggle with attention span like most people do. And, a 20-minute podcast goes through, peaks and valleys. And I always wanted to clip certain quotes or parts out and share that as training and motivation. And it just didn't exist. I kept looking for the TikTok of podcasts. Where do you put your
Yes.
RSS feed into a system? All your podcasts are uploaded, and you're able to cut 60-second clips
Mhm.
from whatever podcast and do short form of a long form podcast. And so me and a few friends, very Facebook-esque, if you will, we got together and we created the platform Pick Cherries, which is in the Apple and Android store. We're super excited. We have thousands of podcasts that are signed up, from Andrew Huberman to Tony Robbins, and the list goes on and on. They've all
Yes,
supported
wow.
us, and they're on our platform. So it's a great way. There's so much information out there to train and to motivate people. And going into the platform, you're able to, like I said, clip it and share it. And that's what, the purpose of the platform is all about. So it's pickcherries.com, and that's my other business.
I absolutely love it. What I love about this is, you're absolutely right, is that this is how, I mean, dare I say it, the younger generation maybe, but the or even our generation, this is how we communicate now in short form video. How many of us communicate with our friends, whether it's just for humor based conversations, by sending a TikTok like, hey,
Yeah,
this is you, or hey, I saw this and it reminded me of you. That is how we are communicating. And, my daughter, my children, they communicate by sending YouTube shorts to each other.
so true. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how, I said, I would always tell my friends, go to Andrew Huberman Lab, and just go to this 2 minutes and 37 seconds and listen to what he says about, alcohol versus on what it does to the brain. And no one would ever listen to that, or motivation or training. And so it was a
Yeah.
really big need out there of how do we create TikTok short 60 seconds of podcasts. I was always slicing it in iMusic, and cutting out the audio and cutting out the video. And so it was really just
Yeah.
based on a need that I had as a podcaster, and now it's out there for everyone to use it as a training tool, motivation, or whatever you want to do with it.
But I love that as well. And what I love about that story is that you saw a problem for yourself personally, and instead of thinking, which I reckon 99% of everyone else would go, oh yeah, that why isn't that there? That's annoying. Or be a good idea if that was there. And then that's as far as it goes. You're like, it'd be a good idea if that was there. And you know what? I'm going to go and do it as well. And that's what I love.
Well, I am a, like I said, needs-based entrepreneur, and even though a lot of my business models that I create in my sleep or when I'm bored, most people go to bars, or most people, like, have hobbies. My hobbies are really thinking of businesses like this, would this work, would that work, and putting a quick budget together, and then it's usually like no or yeah. And so the same thing happened to us here in the marine industry. What was keeping me up at night, one of the biggest challenges I faced as a dealer was the workforce was sort of drying up. And this was in 2019, 2020-ish. We started to really see the effects of not supporting trades in high schools. And I said, we need to sustain our industry because we have all these boats out there, but we don't have the mechanics to service
Yeah.
these boats. And so I created with Junior Achievement, which is a big organization here in the States. Over 100 cities we're in, and it really teaches financial literacy, business skills to junior high and high school students. So when they graduate high school, they are more apt to have and retain really key jobs in our community. So major support from a lot of the big companies in our town. And so I sit on the board, and I was also inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018. Big organization I support financially as well as my time. And so met with them and said, what do we do? We have this, shortage of workforce in the marine industry, and they had a lot of space that we could work off of. At JA, they took the inherent risk of housing those students and feeding them into our program. And so with Mercury Marine, we all sat down. It was Mercury Marine, Marine Max, who is a competitor of ours, but on a much larger scale. One location, they have like 100. But, we met with them and we got them on board, and we got Intrepid Powerboats and Junior Achievement and Marine Industries Association of South Florida and the Florida Department of Education. Everyone got together in a room, and we created an apprenticeship program that when a young adult graduates high school and is 18 years old or close to it, they come into the program at Junior Achievement, and they get 5 certifications immediately: forklift, OSHA 10, they get their Florida Boaters card, they get their AED CPR, and a lot of other things that they get. So when we hire them, and of course, most importantly, the Mercury MTech certification. So they graduate this 6-month program being well more educated and with the experience and certifications when they enter into a marine industry dealership or another company, that they're easily hired. And so the
Yeah.
actual program, which is called the Junior Achievement Pre-Apprenticeship Program, which is a Mercury supported program, as well as us, FB Marine Group, Marine Max, and all the other companies. So now we are in our 3rd class coming up. We have 26 students that are now graduated from the program, if not more. A lot of them are employed here in the marine industry. And we have that program. And then we have the Marine Industries Association of South Florida's program, which is a yacht technician. So we've got these 2 programs that are really hitting kids. There's a big need out there, back to what you're saying, needs-based entrepreneurship. How do we, find a problem, and then we develop it, and then we implement it, and then we refine it. And that's what we're doing right now. And the program's really becoming a huge success. And we plan on taking it really nationwide with on the backs of Junior Achievement and Marine Max's reach nationwide. So we're going to see a lot of, again, back to your question of, we had a problem, and we are creating the solution, and it will sustain our industry and keep our workforce really, full.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome because I don't know if it's the same in America. I'm assuming it is, and from what I can see, it's a similar thing. But when the kids are going through school and in the UK in like secondary education, the practical skills, they're not sold to the kids as desirable careers. Everything is very much computers, sort of professional careers. No one's saying, hey, do you know what, actually you are great with your hands, you've got a great problem solving mind, go and do something practical, go and get a trade. They're not selling that as a desirable option. It's almost like a fallback option sometimes, and that's how I feel that
Right.
the kids are being spoken about when they're
Right.
discussing their career options.
Well, that was a big problem. About 30 years ago, they took trades, they made trades less important, and they made college the most important thing. But not every kid is destined to go to
No.
college or can afford it or don't want it. And so we're seeing the ripple effects now. But now we're
Yeah.
back to really supporting trades. We're putting the budgets there for it. Our politicians and private donors and really the communities are all, supporting trades and they're making a lot of money. They're making a great living, and I couldn't be prouder of the kids that are so empowered. They never went to college, but they're making six figures as
Yeah.
master marine technicians with Mercury or any propulsion company or anyone AC HVAC and plumbing, and there's so many different trades in the marine industry that I have to say these kids are killing the game and never
Yeah.
went to college, and that's the purpose of what we're doing is we want to put give everyone a chance, break down the barriers of entry for, a very diverse group of kids that don't usually have access to boats. And we're showing them what a career looks like in the marine industry, and they're loving it, they're embracing it. And now we're seeing the fruits of all of our labor with their employment.
Yeah, because I suppose with a program like that, it's a long-term program. You don't start something like that and see the evidence of success 2 months
Yeah.
later. This is a generation almost, isn't it? A generational project that, you won't understand how effective it's been until
Yes.
maybe 10 years.
No, absolutely. And I always believe that everyone needs to leave their mark in the world. And so for me, being a cancer survivor, I had breast cancer in 2014, and
Oh,
my life completely changed at that point. It became more of leaving a legacy. Why are we here? And so for me, this was part of giving back. I got a second chance at life. It was a longer journey than most. I had a only stage one cancer, but it ended up coming back. Or other areas, I got other cancers, and so it became like
oh,
a thing. It was like every time I'd go for my annual, it'd be another sucker punch of something that had come up. So, but now I'm proud to say I'm in the survivors program. I graduated last year, and so I'm
oh,
in the survivors
congratulations.
program. Yes, and I sit on the board of Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida. But it's all about giving back, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why this program, the apprenticeship program, is so important to me. It's just my way of giving back for having a second chance at life.
Yeah, and I think, whenever I sit here and I sit in front of people that I think you're so motivated, there always comes a point in the conversation where you realize that's your why. Everyone that's got a bit of a fire lit under them and is motivated and inspired, they can usually pinpoint either a pivotal moment, an event, or somebody that's their why. Because I think if you haven't got it, it's actually probably quite hard to be that motivated.
It is. It is. I found myself before cancer spread thin with a lot of my philanthropy. I was into dogs and and into education and into cancer, and it was just mental health. It was just scattered all over, and I wasn't really being making a difference in one specific area. And so
Oh,
Marty Huizenga, who was a very dear friend of mine, no longer with us. She passed away from cancer, but her and her husband Wayne and Marty Huizenga owned all the sports teams in South Florida, the Dolphins, the Marlins, the Panthers, and Waste Management, Blockbuster Entertainment, huge family,
wow.
very philanthropic. But my point being here is she taught me if I don't have the means to be big in all the areas that I wanted to support, to narrow it down and be great at one thing. And so that
Oh,
one
I
thing
love
was
that.
cancer. And so I ended up supporting AutoNation, who's our largest car dealership chain here in America. And they had a Drive Pink initiative. And so I did that to honor my dad who passed away from cancer, and other family members as well. And so I decided to support them, not knowing 18 months later that I would be diagnosed with breast cancer. So it became a it's a weird how God works in the
Yeah.
universe. If you believe whatever you believe, it was one of those things where I was specifically brought to AutoNation for a reason to support their Drive Pink, and ended up being my own battle a year and a half
Yeah.
later.
God, it is the world, like you say, I mean, whether you believe in, somebody that has a faith or they believe in fate or anything, the world works in mysterious ways sometimes. And,
As
you end up on a path that's so meant for you but almost seems by luck.
It's so true. And, I do a lot of public speaking. I do coaching, and I'm speaking actually at next month's Boating Industry Elevate Summit. I love, the opportunity to get in front of people. I love motivating people, but I always tell people is to always evaluate at the end of the day what your day looked like. Break it down into time blocks. From the moment you woke up, what does that look like? Did you pray? Did you have your affirmations? Did you work out? What did your meals look like? What did your appointments look like? Break that your day down when you're on your pillow at night, and evaluate what that day looked like and the lessons that you learned, and discharge all the stuff that's, was bad, and take to the next day that all that information, all the lessons and the people that were brought into your life for a reason, and then
Yeah.
become 1% better every day with that information. And that's how
Oh,
I've
I
lived
love
my
that.
life.
Absolutely love that. But what strikes me is that you've got so much going on.
Yeah.
You've got businesses that I've not even got enough fingers to count probably. You've got projects, you're always talking about things you're trying to make a difference in. Your mind must be going a million miles an hour. Do
Yes.
you ever just chill out? Do you ever just slow down and think, I'm just like, how do you switch off? What's your go-to activity to
I
switch
love
off?
it. I love it. Well, I had a life-changing, experience during the pandemic. I have to say, I who doesn't like a good cocktail, and so I was drinking. I'd come home and I would have a cocktail or two, and it
Yeah.
was not that it was deep every day; it was every day. And so
Mhm.
I chose during the pandemic, especially after being diagnosed with cancer and having all the issues that I've had over the years, I decided to scale back on my drinking tremendously. And so I only do it at certain times under certain things, and it's no mad, sad, stressed, or alone, which is pretty much most of our lives. So I ended up really just doing it as for fun with other people. I don't drink alone anymore, and just things like that. I set rules for myself, and it's amazing how the clarity from 2020 to now. People say I look younger. I have so much more energy. It's not that I don't drink. I just drink, a lot less. And for me, the clarity is what's changed in
Oh,
my life.
really?
And so there's not a moment where I don't wake up in the middle of the night with, rapid heart rate from alcohol, too much of it, or whatever it might be. But I sleep. I go to bed at 9 o'clock most nights. I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning,
No,
and
you
and
don't.
it's 7 hours of sleep every day. But
I've
it's
never met anyone that wakes up. I wake up so early because I like. This might sound really weird, but I love that smug feeling of thinking by the time everyone else has woken up, I've already achieved something. But I've
yes.
never met anyone that wakes up earlier than I do, and I just
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. I mean, I wake up sometimes at 3:45, 3. It's just, but I try not to send emails or get online. That's more of just, there's a book that I have. It's in my briefcase down there, but it looks like this, and it's a small book, and I write down every day 10 goals. So I have 10 things that
Really?
either I'm thinking about, or long term, short term, but I write down, because you never know what you've achieved unless you write them down. So that's a big part of my morning, doing that. And so that's that
Oh,
time where everyone else is sleeping, there's no interruptions, and I get my workout done, and I, strategize the day and think about my goals. And it's a really great time that I think is another part of my success, is doing that,
yeah,
having that, 4 hours where everyone's like sleeping or not doing anything.
yeah. So I used to I've just run a marathon and
Good for you.
I did all
Wow.
my marathon training at 5 a.m. in the morning. So round the streets it was pitch black. And I used to run past all these houses and in my head I used to say to myself, well, while you were sleeping, what and
Yeah.
every house I'd be like, while you were sleeping. And it's it's
Yes.
something
That's
so
so true.
small, but I used to repeat it to myself and repeat
Yes.
it because it was the
Yes.
motivation I needed.
Sleep is very important, but it's also, I'll tell you what, that morning when the world sleeps, so much can be accomplished, and it makes you feel so empowered that you're doing so much when others are not, and it's a great feeling. I love it.
Yeah,
Well, tell
exactly.
me about your marathon. I mean, that's one of the things on my bucket list someday. I don't know if I'll ever achieve it, but it's wow, that's amazing.
Do you know what? I live for the days when people say, "Tell me about your marathon," because I think I've bored everybody senseless with it.
No.
People avoid asking me now. They're like, "Oh, talking about your marathon again." So my marathon, so it was a London marathon. So the London marathon, I don't know how much you know about it, is very, very difficult to get into. So I actually, you have to enter into a ballot every year, and
Oh,
only I think it's 4% of people get offered a
oh
place.
my God.
Yeah, so for 12 years, I entered, and I got no.
Wow.
My daughter, her middle name is actually London,
I
because I
love
was
it.
I named her after the London Marathon. Because honestly, it was an obsession. And then I thought to myself, one day, I just thought, I don't want to leave this to chance. So there's another route you can take. You can if you run another marathon in a certain time, you can qualify for it. So I went and did that, and then I finally got to run the London
Good for
Marathon last
you.
year.
Good for you.
And oh my gosh, like I said only the other day, I can't imagine anyone going through life not having done that. So do it. If it's on your bucket list, like get it done. You
Yeah.
will always like treasure those memories.
Well, Megan Bradley, one of my girlfriends, a dear friend of mine, I'm one of those cheerleader balcony friends where I went to the New York City Marathon and we had signs and we did a
Oh,
great,
I
we
love
make it a girls' weekend, her, Shin, and I, and I'm a big supporter of anyone that runs a marathon. This it is the 1%. You are, wow. All I can
Oh,
say
it
it's a lot of
hurts. Like
training.
those
It's a
last
lot of,
few miles are
yeah,
honestly awful.
yeah. Yeah, you have to dig deep and
Yeah.
you have to get in that zone and nothing better than sitting on the finish line and cheering all those people on. It's such a great thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I said I ticked the box and I said, okay, I've done that now. I didn't feel any need to do it again. I can't help it. I've accidentally applied again. I can't help it. It's like
Well,
an addiction. I need it.
maybe I'll come across the pond and be holding that sign for you.
Oh, is
So,
there a Florida marathon?
oh, there's tons of them, but it's like,
Oh, is
I
there?
have to train for it first. It's
Yeah, that's
definitely,
true.
I
Although
gotta,
getting up, you're used to getting up early. I think you'd be okay.
I am.
Yeah,
So
you could
maybe
get.
we'll take this offline. You can teach me how to, do a marathon. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
training involved.
yeah. To be fair, if you commit to running a marathon on air, you've kind of committed then, haven't you? Say no more. Say no more in case you have to do it. So, I mean, you're full of really great advice, but if you could say one thing to the Kim right back at the beginning that was starting her career, if the Kim now could give that Kim some advice, what would you say?
I mean, I would go back. I live in a very social town. South Florida, Miami Beach. Miami is very jet set, but sleep is super important. I used to push the envelope. Never slept. I was always like, clubbing and doing sort of things as a kid. Who doesn't, right? But the message I tell my son is this: is like spend your early years learning and making something of yourself, and then retire early, or invest in others. But be serious earlier on and don't be so, just like you're the fear of missing out because there's plenty of time for that later on. And then the second thing is really leading a lasting legacy. They
Yes.
say your reputation is what they say about you when you're not in the room. And so it's super important is to not do anything that you're going to end up on the news. And you also
Yep.
want to, you always, well, it needs to be a good thing, but and also just do something that after you're gone, that your legacy lives on. And that's the message that I would tell myself.
Yeah, and I bet your son, I bet he has quite a reaction when you say, "Don't go and have fun. Be serious."
Yeah.
I bet he says, "Oh, mum."
Yes. He knows that you can do a little bit of both, but you have to really have that focus earlier on. Yes.
Yeah,
So he's
100%.
a great kid. I love him. Shout out to Chase.
Awesome. So, who's your inspiration? Do you have somebody in your life that you're so inspired by and you look up to?
Yeah, there's a lot of women that I've never met that are my big inspiration. Um, the CEO of CBS is a woman that I respect tremendously. If you read her story, she's just comes from a broken family, and I just love her story. Oprah Winfrey for media is another person that I
Yeah.
follow. Sarah Blakely for entrepreneurship. Her story is so I've learned so much from her. It's just and there's so many women in my life that
Yeah.
I've never met that they don't even know that I do watch them and study them and really just so motivated by watching them. And so they say, if, just success follows success. So I follow successful people and I emulate them in most of, aspects of my life. I find one for each area and I just do that. And so I'm a very self-motivated person. I'm not a depressed person. So for me, it's funny. Someone asked me the other day about, I was at a B12 store and they're like, shout out to B12. It's not a paid endorsement, by the way. And they're like, well, this helps with, depression. And I'm like, but I'm not a depressed person. So do I need that? So, that's the type of person I am. I'm super motivated, very, I'm always, listen, I survived cancer and every day I get another day in this world, on this planet, I'm most thankful for. And so,
Yeah.
it's not a bad day. It's always a good day to wake up and put your feet on the floor and get to it.
Yeah, awesome. You are literally the most positive person I think I've ever interviewed.
Positivity. That's right.
Yeah. It's good.
Well,
And I
good.
think sometimes even if deep down you're not feeling positive,
Yeah.
actually if you put that positive front on and you're outwardly positive, you can't help but then slowly start to come around inside. Even if, I mean,
No,
everyone's
absolutely.
human, everyone has those days where you think, oh no.
I
But if
know.
you just
Yeah.
if you fake it a bit and you fake that positivity, you slowly
Well,
start to
it's so
believe it
true.
yourself, don't you?
Yeah, it's so true, Holly. And thank you for calling me the most motivated person that you've ever met or interviewed. But I appreciate that. But there's an exercise that I learned from a friend of mine, and it's just even when you're having a bad day, just smile, and
Yeah.
it's amazing what comes at you. It's like everyone's like happy, and then I remember he told me do this for 24 hours. His name's Steve Noodleberg, and he's like, he wrote a book on, on it. And he's like, just smile for, just 24 hours, everyone at the red light or just smile. And so people are like, do I know you? And I got like a million date offers. They were like, oh, I was like, no, it's just amazing when you smile what
Yeah,
you get back. And there's a saying I live by, you get served what you order up. And if you order up a smile, you're going to get it back to you. So that's my
that's
little
cool.
word of advice is just, when you're having a bad day, try wearing a smile and watch how your life changes back to where it
Yeah.
should be.
Well, it's like giving out good energy, isn't it? And you often attract what you give out. So you give out
Oh,
good positive vibes. I don't know how it works, but you attract
yeah.
them back, towards you.
Yeah, that's back to what I'm saying. That's my saying I live by. You get served what you order up, and I always order up positivity. And so, and again, there's two people in my life. There's the balcony people and the basement people, and I've eliminated most of the basement people in my life because I don't need toxic people in my life. And so you have to evaluate those people who
Yeah,
drag you down or who lift you up, and then you realize that you have to reduce those people or
yeah.
eliminate them. And that's what I've done throughout the years. And it's like I have all, people that I check in with all the time. We can't be everything to everyone, but, there's certain people that I just realized that just weren't meant to be in my life. And, it's just, I just want positivity 100%. And, that's
Do
what,
you
yeah.
know what?
So,
I have learnt that in the last hour. Balcony and basement people. I've never heard that before, but it's
yeah,
so simple. I
yeah,
love it. I'm using
yeah.
that.
Well, I'm looking forward to. I only have 10 minutes to speak at Boating Industries Elevate Summit. They only gave me 10 minutes. I'm like, how can I only talk for 10 minutes?
Talk
What am I?
quick, talk quick,
I
double
know.
speed.
I'm like, okay. But I do welcome the opportunity to share my story. It's so exciting and to just pay it forward. I love motivating people. It's sort of like why I was put on this earth, I think.
Yeah. So, in not that I'm counting, but in 13 days' time at the point of recording this is the
Yes.
Fort Lauderdale Boat Show.
Yes. The Super
It's
Bowl.
my it's my first time.
I can't
My
believe it.
first Yeah, my first time. What are you most looking forward to? What should I be most looking forward to? What's the
Yeah.
best thing about it? What shouldn't I
Well,
miss?
it's the Super Bowl of all boat shows. Fort Lauderdale Boat Show is the largest in-water boat show in the world. Informa Markets, who produces most of the boat shows in the world, plus a lot of other industries that a lot of people aren't aware of. It's 1,300 boats on display, thousands of exhibitors, 7 locations. The really cool part about it is that you can get there by water taxi. So you start at the convention center, super important. There's 3,000 spots there to park. You start there and then you take water taxis, and you can go through buses and so many great things to see. There's events, there's VIP Windward experiences, which are
Yeah.
like unlimited food and alcohol. And it's really a 2-day pass. You need to get 2 days if you're going to go, but it is like bigger than the Super Bowl. You look at the Super Bowl here in America, the
Yeah.
boat show brings in more money than the Super Bowl. And so this is what we live for every year. It really gives us an indication of what the year ahead looks like. And from
Yes.
what I've seen so far, and talked to a lot of other dealers and marine related businesses, we're seeing a little uptick again. So I'm hoping that we're going to come into the boat show and have a great boat show, and then lead into 2024 in the election year, and hopefully we'll be back to the the pandemic crazy. Everyone wants to get back into boating again, and so we're all operating on hope. But yes, you're gonna love it. Back to what I'm saying, and I look forward to getting together with you. We'll do a little shout out on social, and I'll show you around. I would love to show you my hometown.
Yeah, your hometown, your home show. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. I'm counting down the days. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
I partnered up with Informa to do a giveaway, which is super exciting. So we're giving away two VIP passes, which are the Windward Experience, which are like $350 at least each.
Oh, I've seen those. They look amazing.
Yeah, Capital Grill came in with dinner for two and wine, and all $500 in cash. It's like $2,000 in giveaways, and so I will definitely send you the information on it, but you can check out my social pages, the Boat Boss. All my platforms will have the entry, but it's really a cool, exciting way to see the boat show. Is the Windward is a great way, but normal tickets are good too. So I would say get them early, because the boat show is a very popular event in this town. It's like I said, it's like the Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness, you've made me even more excited.
Yeah, there's lots of events, so let's look on the website.
Honestly,
check out the events.
Wait. I'm coming Monday the 23rd until Friday. So yeah, good. I think I've got 2 or 3 days at the show, so probably not enough to see it all, but enough to see enough of it. So it should be so good.
Well, I look forward to definitely meeting you, Holly, and I'll show you around the show and introduce you to some cute people that might want to be on your show.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I can't wait. So we always finish the show with the same question, and I know that you've kind of touched on so much advice already, so you might even just be drawing on some of the stuff you've already said. But what one quote do you strive to live by?
It's one that I live by, and it really was something I believed in before cancer, but now it is really important to me, and it's the message I tell my son and whomever wants to listen. Is that you're never complete until you change the life of one less fortunate. And I'm going to leave you with another one. The 2 best days of your life are the day you're born and the day you know why. And so, we all have to learn to, Steve Jobs said, leave your spot in the world. And so, you have to live your life of what they're going to say about you at your funeral, what they're going to say about you when you're not in the room. And your reputation is so important. And what your legacy you leave is even more important.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love that. And what a brilliant way to finish our conversation.
Yes.
So until in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to see you. But thank you so much for this conversation now. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
Likewise, and take care and safe travels across the pond.
See you soon.
All right, take care. Ciao.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.